right, so this video is going to be about 3 different paths I think parents can take to help open a Roth IRA for their children that have earned income. A Roth IRA is a very special and very limited retirement account for people who have earned income in a given year. Your child might have income because you, the parent, are an entrepreneur and have hired your child in your own business, or it could just be that your child has gotten a job working for someone else but has legitimate earned income as defined by the IRS. In either case, the power of starting a habit of savings at an early age is invaluable, and the power of compound interest when you start at an early age is potentially worth millions. I am not advocating for one specific path. This video is kind of a thought exercise, and I'd love for you to comment below on which of the following ideas that you think have merit and which ideas you think have some big holes in them. And a quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor or licensed tax professional, so make sure you do your own due diligence and get your own advice from your own expert. Oh, who am I? So I'm Kate Josephine Johnson, and I own a virtual bookkeeping company, and my specialty is FreshBooks bookkeeping software. You can reach out if you have a service-based business and you use FreshBooks for your bookkeeping and never need any help. So in 2022, I hired my young 11-year-old son to work in my business. He's awesome. He looks a little bit like me. Hey, son, say hello.
Hi.
Hey, do you mind if at the end of this interview, I ask you a few questions about what it was like to start your Roth IRA and things like that?
Sure.
Y'all stick around. Stick around. In the interview, we'll hear from Trip. All right, y'all. So please make sure you go back and listen to my previous video about the kinds of work that I hired him to do and my philosophy about why it is a whole lot more important to be concerned about what you're teaching your child about life as you hire children in your business instead of primarily just focusing on that tax deduction that paying those wages brings you. The video should be popping up right here for you to watch later. Also, if you don't have your very own strong financial foundation and are not yet close to financial independence and your own comfortable retirement, I commend to you a somewhat contrarian view to this idea about business owners hiring their kids in their business so that they can set up Roth IRAs. It's from a guy named Sean Mullaney, the FI tax guy. I'm a big fan of his. He makes a very strong argument for when it's not a good idea to put your own funds into a Roth IRA for your kids. So make sure you listen to that interview of his before you decide if this is something you should do. But anyway, to the point of this video, my oldest child does do legitimate, valuable work for me. And because he's earned income, he's able to open a Roth IRA, which we did. Here's a picture of us on the couch where we were on the phone with a Vanguard rep together. I wanted him to be a part of the opening of the account and the funding of this account and all that whole process. I also wanted to make sure my son understood compound interest, and so I used this calculator to show him how powerful it is to even start saving for retirement, even just 1 decade sooner. All right, son, we got a Roth IRA calculator here. This is got a few components: your current balance, annual contribution, annual return, current age, retirement age. So what we're just going to do is we're going to say you got $0. And let's just say you put in $2,000 a year. I know you're not putting in this much this year, but let's say you make $2,000 at an 8% return and you start when you're 11. Let's change it to 11. And we're going to hit calculate. If you put $2,000 a year in a Roth IRA, this is saying that at 65, it will be worth $1.5 million. Is that a lot or not a lot to you? If you put in $2,000 a year, it turns into $1.5 million. Okay, so let's just change it to wait until you start till you're 21. Do you see right here? It goes from 1.5 million down to 713,000. So it basically doubles from 700,000 to 1.5 million just by starting 10 years earlier. And if you wait till you're 31, let's say you wait till you're 31 to start saving for retirement. And by the way, $2,000 is not like a crazy ton of money. It's a lot of money for you, but you'd be able to put a lot more than that when you get older and get a full-time job. If you wait till you're 31 and you put $2,000 a year, how much are you going to make? What's it going to turn into?
317,000.
317. So by starting at 11 with just $2,000 a year in retirement, you end with 1.5 million. Pretty awesome, pretty powerful. That's called compound interest, right? We've talked about that, right? Okay. But hopefully those of you listening to this video already know about compound interest and can appreciate what even this small head start can mean. So let's move on to actual implementation strategies. I would love your opinion on these tactical strategies, so comment below. The first philosophical thing you need to consider is how much of their paycheck you're going to require that your young child invest. Shoot, maybe you leave the choice entirely up to them, though I personally would not employ any child of mine in my business if they did not have a plan to save some portion of their money in a savings vehicle, even if it wasn't a Roth. But I see that a parent has a couple of options. One is that you can pick a percentage for the child. You just command it from your throne on high because as parents, we have the right to exercise authority over our children as long as they're financially dependent upon us. And as the business owner, you can always decide not to continue to employ your child, right? I'm the boss of the business, and my husband and I are the bosses of the house. But the second option is that you could have some great discussions about savings and spending and compound interest, and you can make a suggestion of a good amount, but let the child pick the percentage based on a logical and coherent argument that they present to you. But after the child decides how much he or she will put in, that now leads us to 3 different ways I thought of to kind of juice the account for the child, if you do want to maximize the money that the child can legally put into the Roth. Option 1 is that you could decide to match from your own personal bank account, not your small business bank account, by the way, just to clarify. So I could tell my son that if he saves 10%, then we'll match 10%. If he makes $100 and puts $10 into a Roth, then we will contribute an additional $10. And this works all the way up to 50% because you can't put in more than you earn into your Roth up to that current year's contribution limit. If he makes $100 and he saves 50, the most I'm allowed to match would be $50, which would equal his $100 of total income. Option 2 is where the child gets to keep all of their earnings and the parents stuff the Roth IRA for the child. So I'm least excited about this plan because, a huge part of this whole endeavor is teaching my children the process and the pain of saving part of your income and, delaying gratification and not thinking that mom and dad are their personal piggy bank. But maybe your family is in a phase where you and your child's higher priorities might be saving for a car, or maybe you intend for your child to pay for college on their own. So it's probably wisest for them to save for college instead of a retirement account. As long as it's thoughtful and part of a larger part of the overall parenting and education goals you have, that as you're teaching your children about these life lessons, then maybe the piggy bank of mom and dad is okay in some instances. Hey, before we get to option 3, if you aren't subscribed, I'd sure love it. Put up videos about general small business and entrepreneurship topics and about bookkeeping on FreshBooks. Thanks so much. So the third option I thought of is to create what I dubbed a burner Roth IRA account that my child doesn't know about. This would be to stuff the net difference of what he contributes to the account that he does know about into a separate account that he doesn't know exists. Let me give a simple example with some numbers to illustrate what I'm talking about. Let's say my son earns $3,000 in total income for the year. That's well below the annual contribution limit, so that means that technically he can contribute a total of all $3,000, which is his entire earnings for the year. Of course, he wants to keep some of his earnings, so let's say he's a super saver and he's really wise for only being 11, and he chooses to save $2,000 of his $3,000 throughout the year to put in his Roth IRA. Without his knowledge, I could open a different Roth IRA in his name and contribute an additional $1,000 to this burner account. I'm thinking that the burner account contributions could eventually add up to a nice little first condo or house down payment, or it could be used for higher education expenses. Shoot, maybe he ends up buying a small condo in college as a first house hack and has roommates help him pay down his mortgage. Because you can withdraw all contributions to a Roth IRA account completely penalty-free to use for a first-time home purchase or for higher education expenses. Now, it may or may not be wisest to withdraw those funds for a house or for college. I don't know. It's going to depend on everyone's unique situation. But you can do that analysis with your young adult child. What a teaching moment. Maybe you leave it there in the Roth IRA. Maybe you don't. If you leave it there, well, then that's great too. Anyway, this burner Roth could be a nice surprise to share with him at a future date, but helps avoid the mom and dad or a piggy bank, and that silver spoon attitude that I'm desperate to make sure my children avoid. All right, so those are my high-level thoughts about Roth IRAs for children. If you're still early in your journey learning about retirement savings options and need to learn more about the Roth IRA, you can listen to this very clear summary from Stephan. I'm going to put the link to that video below. It's old, so the dollar amounts have changed, but the teaching of the concepts is good. I'm recording this in 2022 when I'm just at the very early stages of employing my kids. I've got 2 more kids coming up after this one. Who knows how my opinions will change? Because parenting is a journey. Entrepreneurship is a journey. Financial independence is a journey. And every kid is different. So remember that what you do for one child might not be what is best for all your children. All right, I'll say goodbye and turn on this little 1-minute interview with my son about his thoughts about opening and contributing to a Roth IRA. I'm Kate Josephine Johnson, and I help businesses build their business legacy. Okay, Trip, tell the listeners, what was it like that day we opened the Roth IRA account for you? What was the experience like?
I wasn't the one setting it up myself, but from watching my mom, it looked painful.
It was painful, so it wasn't exciting.
It did not look exciting.
It's kind of boring.
Pretty boring.
We were snuggling on the couch in our PJs, though, right?
And comfy.
And comfy. So, do you remember the name of the investment company that we went with?
VOO? Or is that the thing? No. That was something else.
That was the investment. What's your brokerage? Like when you log on, where are you going to go?
Vanguard.
That's right. We picked Vanguard. So, what percentage of your paycheck did you opt to invest?
Half.
50%. Got a big saver over here. Do you remember what you invested in?
VOO. Was that the thing? Yeah.
That's the ticker symbol for, actually, I don't know what it stands for exactly. V stands for Vanguard, but that's the ticker symbol. So you'd be able to look up what your mutual fund is worth. The VOO is a mutual fund. Combination of mini stocks, right? Like a basket with a whole bunch in there. Yeah, you know that. So let's switch away from Vanguard for a second. Do you remember what we did when we logged on to your payroll company? What did we have to do inside the payroll company so that way you could automate your savings? Do you remember?
No, I do not remember.
So your payroll provider is Gusto, right? That's what I used to pay you. And we went into Gusto and you had some settings about where you get paid. Where have you been getting your money for most of the time you worked? Where did you get your money?
You. Working for you.
Yeah, but you got it in what account?
Greenlight?
Your Greenlight account. And now what's going to happen?
It's going to get bigger and bigger. The money I
No, but each paycheck. So now each paycheck, what's going to happen? Is all the pay going to go to Greenlight?
No, half of it's going to go into the Roth IRA.
And half to Greenlight. So it's automated. Good job. That way you will have to remember to do it. How does it feel that you're going to get paid for recording this video with me?
Nice.
All right. You've heard it from the young man himself. If you have any questions for him, feel free to comment below and I'll get him to respond. And we hope this encourages you to think about your family and how y'all can work together to, build a legacy and be good stewards of the resources that you have. You want to say goodbye?